right. Thank you everyone for joining us today for our webinar around support, specifically Microsoft support. We are going to wait a couple minutes here for the stragglers to join us on our webinar today. In the meantime, we look forward to awarding the $100 Amex cards following the webinar. Please keep an eye out in your emails and your inboxes for that lucky email. We'll be picking from the attendees of today's webinar, so thank you for joining us on a great topic. That being said, while we wait for our stragglers to hop on, we do want to know where all of our customers are based, located, working out of. If you can just give us an idea of, hey, if you're in a specific city, and if you happen to work remote, or if you are back as part of the RTO industry shift that we're seeing, I'd like to get a better understanding of our customers and the people behind them. So feel free to populate the chat box. Also, if you have any good facts you'd like to share, please feel free to do so. We got some folks from Albuquerque, from New Orleans. Pardon me if you don't pronounce New Orleans. Feel free to correct me, whatever. Salt Lake City represented here, St. Louis, Chicago, even from Scotland. I love that across the pond. We got Pittsburgh, we got LA, we got Fort Worth, Croatia. Wow. No, that's a really good mix of folks. And I'm still seeing a lot of mix between remote and seems like RTO, even hybrid represented. I think that's a good representation of not only the diversity of what we do, but the diversity of our customers and the diversity of our company. Oh, we got Silver Spring, Maryland in the house. We got Luxembourg. We got Woodbury. I know I'm missing few, so please, you're gonna have to forgive me here. But it seems like we got great representation, not only throughout the country here, but throughout the world as well. Lancaster, PA, Amish country. Love it, love it. I've always wanted to try naturally churned butter. So that sings to me. Wow, it seems like Fort Worth here is taking the lead with representation. Awesome, awesome. All right, with that being said, just a couple more minutes here and we'll be sure to kick it off. We got a great topic for you guys, for those of y'all who joined, following my little warm-up game here, trying to figure out where people are from and how people are situated. But looking forward to this awesome topic today. And then, for those who did join a little bit later, as we were playing our little intro game here, just a reminder to keep an eye on your emails, your inboxes from us, letting you know and notifying you that you are one of the lucky winners of one of 3 $100 Amex cards. All righty, with that being said, I do want to get started because I am cognizant of your time and I do value your time. So without further ado, I'd like to jump into the topic. Today, we'll be talking about unlocking the value in Microsoft support, right? And how to ultimately reduce costs and improve your resolution times. We've got a great lineup of subject matter experts from Trusted Tech, not only from an offering and programs perspective, but from an actual support perspective, and also joining us as an account executive to go over the true value in terms of what that cost optimization looks like. But if we can move on here, I'd like to definitely spend the time to introduce the key people on today. My name is Samuel Raw, and I'm the Senior Manager for Solutions Marketing here at Trusted Tech. I'd like to introduce, and I will be introducing throughout the course of this webinar, Jason, Will, and Andrew, and I'll let them speak a little bit more about themselves and introduce themselves and how they play a role in not only the support we provide, but the certified support we provide as a managed partner of Microsoft. Jason, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. So pleasure to meet you guys all. My name is Jason Liu. I'm the program manager for our support over here. And really, the main thing that I'm trying to achieve is make sure that there is a real understanding of how to make sure that your Microsoft investment in support and services is in the best way shaped forward, right? And how we can make sure if there's a gap between what you currently receive today, no matter who it's from, that we can ensure that we have the best offering for you. And so that's really my goal and my commitment here to all of our customers, which is provide the best offering that we can to make sure that it is based off of what we heard from our customers, right? And so that's, again, really the goal that I have, and make sure, all of my customers have the best type of experience. And I'll kind of hand it over to Will Whaley.
Thank you very much, Jason. Hello, everyone. My name is Will Whaley. I'm the Cloud Support Manager here at Trusted Tech. I oversee a team of engineers that works on all the reactive and some of the proactive requests that you file every single day. So if you have interacted with a technical support team, you worked with one of my brilliant engineers before, really excited to take some time today to talk to you about some of the changes in Microsoft's support model, how that relates to partners, and how that relates to you, and in covering some of these solutions as we will find today. Please let us know if you have any questions. We'd be happy to answer them as we navigate today. Thank you very much, and I'll hand that off to Andrew.
Hey, thanks so much, Will. Good morning, afternoon, all. I know we got a lot of people tuning in from across the globe here, it sounds like, but my name is Andrew Ramos. I'm one of the dedicated account managers here at Trusted Tech. Anything M365, anything Azure, anything third-party cybersecurity, my job is to essentially custom tailor a solution for your guys' needs, whether it's licensing on the software side or the proprietary services that we offer here internally at Trusted Tech. One of those, of course, being certified support, which we're going to dive into today. Really, my main focus on this call is to figure out, well, okay, there's a lot of changes that are going on in the Microsoft space, specifically around support. How is Trusted Tech Team helping our clients circumvent those changes, right? So looking forward to chatting, and thanks again for the invitation, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to have you all here today for customers and really what we're trying to educate and enable our customers to better understand and better navigate. That being said, let's jump into the agenda in terms of what you can expect to hear today. We do got a great lineup of how Microsoft Support Framework works today, right? What are the changes that are coming into play through Microsoft's recent announcements that's changing and the landscape in terms of not only how Microsoft offers support, but how partners like us have to adapt to those changes to make sure and ensure that we're offering valuable support at the right price. With that being said, we'll jump into Microsoft's specialized certified support services overview. It's a specific program that we offer for a valued customer, always at the right price for the right solutions, for the right reasons, with the right talent in the right seats to help you. And then after that, we're going to take a closer look at the support tiers in terms of better and best understanding what's the right and what's the most prescriptive option for you to leverage in terms of not only utilization, but in terms of impact and driving the outcome that you seek to achieve. Finally, we are going to end it with a short Q&A session from our subject matter experts here on the call. So as we go through the course of this presentation, feel free to drop your comments in the chat box or in the dedicated Q&A section. We'll be sure to answer those pieces as we conclude and as we really dive deeper into the topics to make sure that you walk away with something truly valuable. With that being said, let's transition over into Microsoft Support Framework and really what that looks like. Going over this topic specifically, I would like to invite Will, and please take it away.
Thank you very much, Sam. Let's start today with a little bit of a baseline of what the partner network support model looks like right now. And you'll see on the left, we have our CSP support model, which is the type of support that Trusted Tech delivers. And we're going to be comparing it a little bit with some of the third-party support options that you can see out there on the market. So the way that Microsoft is going to deliver this support is going to be through their partners, through the CSP program. It's designed for partners to deliver support for cloud services like Microsoft 365, Azure, Power Platform, Copilot, Modern Work, Dynamics, everything directly to customers, bundled with some of their own services. Now, this is going to be partner-led support, where the customer gets support directly from the partner. And now it's also going to rely on GDAP privileges or granular delegated admin privileges, which are sets of privileges that you can put out for your partner to make sure they can access your environment in a sensitive way, to make sure they don't get any more privileges than they need, but also have a little bit of control left with the customer. This is something that's exclusive to the Microsoft Partner Program and does have a regulated effect on the way that partners can administer your tenant. These CSP support models are also going to have flexible billing plans with a number of monthly and annual options, as well as no minimum commitment and a certain level of support included because they are a partner. These partner support plans can also have high levels of customization that can tailor to your individual needs, your support levels, the SLAs that you might need, and some of the other services that you're looking for. And finally, These CSP support models will usually have some kind of a licensing portal or a licensing component. Trusted Tech is no different in that way, and we do have an area where you control all of your licensing that you do purchase through us and as it relates to your services and support right there. Now, to contrast this a little bit with some of the third-party support options that you see, this is going to, first of all, refer to services that are provided by non-Microsoft entities that are not part of the CSP program, that are not Microsoft partners. These can be independent service providers. They can be indirect resellers as well, offering some level of support outside of that CSP framework, so they lack that direct connection to Microsoft. These support plans can be purchased separately and are sometimes time and materials, sometimes are retainers, sometimes are individual contracts. They can be specialized. Some of them can be customized to various needs that you may have, including legacy systems or niche technologies with highly specialized needs. Some can have a broader scope where they cover more of your tech stack than just Microsoft, or again, cover your legacy or your on-prem or something. These pricing models, though, can vary a little bit. As we talked about, it can be per hour, it can be baked into individual seat counts, or it can be kind of project-based fees. These third-party providers are not going to utilize GDAP, so they're not going to have the access, and more importantly, you're not going to have the access to granularly choose what access they have to their tenant. So it really doesn't have all those customizable features that keep your tenant safe. And the support quality can vary widely. There are providers that really put in some work, but there are also providers that are going to put kind of a minimal effort in just to try to make it seem like a viable option. But again, that support quality varies quite widely. And as we move on to the next slide, we're going to see some of the differences in these support options broken down on an aspect by aspect basis. So again, the support source for Microsoft CSP support, of which Trusted Tech is a part, is going to be the CSP partner, and that is going to be that first line of support, attempting to resolve what they can. In that third-party support, it's going to be an independent provider, sometimes outsourced, sometimes in-house, just depending on whatever that third party chooses. The admin access through GDAP, again, is going to be one of our hallmarks as a CSP that we are going to use and that you can control. And again, unless they're also a CSP, they're not going to use that same system under the third party. The billing flexibility here is variable in both instances, usually with monthly and annual options. The levels of customization are going to be variable as well. The scope for CSP support, like Trusted Tech, is going to be your Microsoft Cloud Services, whereas third party, again, might get into niche industries or other technologies, just depending on what you're looking for. And finally, the pricing is going to be partner defined and generally speaking bundled together. With third party, it can be pretty much anything. Finally, with your SLAs and responsiveness, that's going to be partner defined, of which Trusted Tech has been recognized by Microsoft to be industry leading. And again, with those SLAs with third party, it can vary widely. I want to bring this over to Jason to continue breaking down some of the escalation models, a little bit how it changes between direct CSPs and indirect CSPs. Jason?
Yeah, thanks, Will. So as you guys may or may not know, the more hoops that you have to take, the more likelihood that the more hands has to go through. Therefore, it may take a little bit of a longer time in terms of a time to resolution. And really the understanding idea here is that when it is support delivered by a direct CSP, it's quite simple, right? It's Microsoft, it's the CSP, and it's you, the organization. Through indirect CSP, it's going to be you, the organization, the indirect CSP, the distributor, and then Microsoft. And so sometimes that extra hop may or may not really make it count, right? And so it really depends on what you're looking for and whether you like to work directly with Microsoft via CSP or the direct CSP, or whether it's through indirect CSP. And really, it's going to be a major difference too in terms of the relationship that they're going to have. As a CSP, we do get access to different types of customer success account managers, CSAMs, throughout our engagement with Microsoft. We have different levers that we can also pull. Through the distributor, they really do have to make sure that they have to talk to the distributor, and then the distributor then has to then make the decision on how to escalate any type of cases that need to go, right? Whether it's a bug, whether it's a product outage, so on and so forth. And when it comes to the escalation itself, it is, again, direct to Microsoft versus the distributor. And the billing aspect is going to be much simpler when it comes to a partner because, again, it is really just be able to have direct. The distributor is obviously going to be able to have that for their indirect resellers as well. That will be then passed down to you. But again, another hop may or may not, equal to something that may be a benefit or may not be a benefit to you, right? There's always going to be pros and cons to every aspect and control of it. And lastly, that brings to control and customization, right? And so really for us, it really goes back down to what Will was just saying. We do have the ability as a direct CSP to have GDAP with, again, granular delegated admin privileges to ensure that we have the very fine-tuned aspect of what you, the customer, is very comfortable to provide, right? And all the other aspects of being able to have those conversations and really try to become a partner that is indicative of having the success that you guys are looking for and the opportunity you guys are looking for. And indirect CSP is going to be a little bit more limited in that type of way, right? So that's kind of how it looks like right now in terms of the partner network. And then I'll kind of kick it over to Sam to, help us understand a little bit to the next point of what the escalation landscape will kick us off with.
Now, thank you, Will and Jason, for that overview. I think it's a really good point to call out the key takeaways, really, that come from being a managed partner, that comes from having direct access to Microsoft, that comes having with further access into our customers' tenants to better be able to service them to the highest caliber that we can. So thank you, Will and Jason, for going over that very quickly for us. As Jason mentioned, I do want to make sure we make time for Will to talk about the new escalation landscape. How is that changing how CSPs and partners adapt their service and support models? And really, what does that mean for our customers? And how do we take advantage in this era of change?
Thank you very much, Sam. I want to break down a little bit more about Microsoft's increasing reliance on their partners, why they start pushing off some responsibility onto their partners and how it relates into their broader business model. And let's start by saying that Microsoft wholeheartedly is shifting to a partner-based model to provide that support and to provide the scale and specialization that individual customers with bespoke needs will require. This is something that Microsoft cannot really provide just itself as one giant entity, and it pushes some of that burden directly onto the partner so that they can be provided directly to the customer in a way that's a little bit closer to where the customer is at. This is partially because of the scale and complexity of Microsoft's ecosystem across the varied cloud and non-cloud products. Again, Azure, Microsoft 365, Dynamics, Copilot AI, Power Platform, Modern Work, security solutions, compliance. It's just a little too broad for Microsoft to provide a one-size-fits-all approach, and that's why we get to a more specialized partner model with deeper integrations and regional expertise. This has also manifested itself in a shift in Microsoft's business model to one that really drives consumption at every single level. They want you to get the full use out of your services that you're paying for, as you might know with any Enterprise E3 or Enterprise E5 license. There are going to be services that you're maybe not familiar with or not even fully utilizing in your tenant. Well, we want you to be able to adopt those features that you're already licensed for. Go for that project that you may not have had the expertise in-house to go after yet. To further drive that adoption, it obviously works in Microsoft's favor because it increases adoption of their services, but it works in your favor too because you're able to utilize what's already included and what can already be integrated first party to continue to optimize your environment and keep it all within one shop that works well together. This also manifests itself in some nice demands that can be met for customized support and specialized support with the rise of AI and with the rise of other business models that Microsoft would like to push. We find that these product adoptions go a lot better with the resources that Microsoft can provide to partners, and partners like TrustedTech can then provide to you as the end customer. And finally, this ecosystem of continual growth, continual development, and continual relationship with a partner does lead itself to a really lasting bond between a partner and a customer that can pay off dividends in and year out with that knowledge of a customer's environment, with that push for adoption that Microsoft is going to incentivize in many cases as well, both for a downstream customer and for a partner. And finally, this kind of homogeneous ecosystem that can be met now that the business model has shifted. As we continue to look on more, we're going to see how Microsoft has a couple different support models, and we're going to see on the left Premier support for partners, which is the type of support that TrustedTech provides to its customers. And we're going to contrast it a little bit with another program that some partners do have called Advanced Support for Partners, and just look at some of the differences in between these two programs. Now, Premier Support for Partners on the left is going to be the most comprehensive support offering that's ideal for mature organizations offering end-to-end managed support across Microsoft platforms, designated account managers for collaborations. It's going to have proactive services like workshops, technical update briefings, advisory sessions, other deployment support, enhanced solutions for very bespoke, complex challenges that you might face, whether it be an industry regulation for compliance or very customized security needs. Critical situation support with incident managers, 24/7 available critical situations with fast response times, and additional PRS cases, that is problem resolution cases that can be made available that are not available to these ASFP customers. So that's the key here. Premier Support for Partners can flex, can grow, can be augmented into whatever is needed for your business. So you never have to worry about a lack of continuity in the support operations, because this is the best of the best that Microsoft partners can provide onto their customers. Now, to contrast this a little bit with advanced support for partners, it is designed for more growing partners, more growing cloud-focused businesses. And it's going to provide some elevated support with some fast response times, but it is going to be limited by some pooled account management resources. So not designated resources, not the same people every time for these escalation efforts, for these reassignment efforts, for these long-term planning initiatives. There are also going to be some enablement services like webinars, consultation, and optimization reports, but they are going to be a little more one-size-fits-all and not requestable on demand. And finally, the key here is that advanced support for partners is subject to a limit on the number of cases that can be provided, and that cannot be augmented. So we don't find that model works for our customers and their evolving needs. That's why we are on the Premier Support for Partners plan. But just if you are evaluating partners, keep in mind that their support plan might vary depending on the type of partner and the type of support plan that they prescribe to. I want to hand it back to Sam so we can start going into some of the certified support services and really what Trusted Tech has done to navigate this landscape and make an offering for you.
Awesome. Will, thank you so much for going over that. Really, from a key takeaway perspective, it seems like prospects and customers looking for a Microsoft support alternative really should inquire to see whether their partner is leveraging PSFP versus ASFP and using that as a key differentiator between the type of support that they can look forward to. So I appreciate you mentioning that and going over the nuances of the two. With that being said, how does PSFP work for partners like Trusted Tech as a CSP that has a direct and managed relationship with Microsoft? Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means and how our customers and how users can find value out of that, Andrew?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for passing it over. I mean, Jason and Will have done an amazing job so far, just kind of going through what is changing with Microsoft and how we as partners are now going to be escalating both tickets and issues that our clients are seeing up to them. Right. So, the first thing that I really wanted to dive into from our internal certified support services perspective is what can we help you with? Right. I mean, that's a big question. What is the SLA? What is our scope of work? If you look on the right-hand side of the slide here, these are all of the partner designations from a support perspective that Microsoft has to offer for CSPs. So data and AI, digital and app innovation, modern work, security, infrastructure, business applications. All of these are themes within the softwares that Microsoft provides within both M365 and Azure that we can assist with, right? So for example, getting into the productivity suite side of things, anything SharePoint, Exchange, Teams, M365 applications like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, we do offer support for. Power Platform, think BI dashboarding, Power Automate, Fabric, Power Apps. From a security perspective, think the Defender suite, e-discovery and compliance features, Defender for cloud apps, data loss prevention, all of those policies, we are able to help you out with, whether you're, having issues and setting them up, need some consulting on it, or you're actively having a support issue that needs to be escalated. From a mobile device management perspective, right? Entra ID, Intune mobile device management, conditional access policies, and managing the identities of your users within the tenant. On the cloud side, think, Azure Virtual Desktop. On the Azure side, virtual machines, VNets, web app services, etc. And then, of course, we get into DevOps and automation, CI/CD pipelines. Think Visual Studio, data analytics and services, Azure SQL, any type of Cosmo database, data lakes, Synapse, All of that stuff is included in the SLA in the support that the certified support services offer here internally. And then, of course, last but not least, we have cost management and optimization, both from an M365 and Azure perspective, right? Not only do we want to support you with the services that Microsoft provides, but we want to make sure that you're getting a good price for them as well, right? If you go into the next slide here, since the inception of the Certified Support Services program here, wanted to get into a little bit of our statistics, both on the engineering side and the consulting side that we're able to do, right? 99.3% customer satisfaction rate year to date thus far. When you submit a ticket over to Trusted Tech, you have a 5-minute response time from a triage engineer. Doesn't matter if you're just looking for simple consulting services or if you have an active issue that needs to be escalated. From the time that you submit a ticket over to our CSP support team that Will is the head of, to the time that you get a first response from an engineer, it's about 5 minutes, right? When we do finally begin to analyze the problems in the environment based off of the ticket and the information that you give us, we have about an 86% resolution rate here internally at Trusted Tech. So that does not include any Microsoft escalations. That is you specifically coordinating with our engineers in-house. 86% of the time when you have an issue, that's not something that we're going to escalate to Microsoft at all. Now, of course, that leaves the other 14% in which we do have to escalate it to Microsoft, right? And that does happen. Now, the real value add of having the certified support services when you do need to escalate a ticket to Microsoft is the actual resolution time of that ticket itself is only about 88 hours. If you were to go through Microsoft directly, I mean, Jason will correct me if I'm wrong here, but we're seeing about 912 hours to average resolution time when our customers are going directly to Microsoft. It's a substantial difference, right? And that's just one of the many value adds of the certified support services. Perfect. Okay. One big thing that I wanted to kind of get into here from a services perspective within the certified support model is there's really two main categories I would argue that come included in the support, right? There's the reactive side of things, and then there's the proactive side of things. Think of the reactive support as more of a insurance policy for whenever you are having a break glass event or an issue within your Microsoft environment. We're probably going to be able to, help you out and solve this issue 86% of the time. However, when we do need to escalate it to Microsoft, this is only deducted when it gets escalated, right? Whether it's severity B or C ticket, whether it's severity A or it's an on-premise or hybrid ticket. The other elements of the services that we're able to provide are more of a proactive service that's done here internally at Trusted Tech. Think consulting sessions with an engineer. Let's say you wanted to bounce a couple ideas off of, a Microsoft expert within Intune mobile device management, for example. You can hop on a call for about an hour, get with an engineer and talk through that. We also have dedicated cloud engineering services, right? Where you can take one of our engineers, plug and play them into your environment. They will have a good understanding of your tenant and what you're looking to do, and they can help augment your IT team, right? And then, of course, there are the professional services, right? So obviously you have a professional services credit that you're able to bundle into a lot of the support packages that we're going to get into in just a moment here, in which you have a full white glove service from our engineers here at Trusted Tech and delivery architects, in which we can set up an entire service for you. Think Microsoft Defender, think Intune, think, conditional access policies, et cetera, et cetera. Jason, anything you want to add here on the main differences between the reactive and proactive services that we provide?
Yeah, no, you definitely did a good job of really giving the idea to our audience here. One thing I really want to highlight and echo here is really what you see when it comes to the reactive support, right? When it comes to the deduction of cases, only when it escalates to Microsoft. And I'm sure, our audience here has worked with other CSPs, other indirect resellers, the whole lot of it direct with Microsoft as well. And I think one of the things that I want to highlight is the fact that, we have really taken a true consumption-based model when it comes to entitlements and when it comes to being able to provide support to our customers. Because what we found is there has been a gap, right, in overall the industry where true consumption-based is not equal to, percentage of your spend. That does not really mean just a bucket of hours that you will deduct from it when you want to, or it doesn't necessarily mean, we're gonna pay an extra X amount of dollars per user, right? Really, it's going to be, in our case, what we've seen and what we've heard from our clients, and really how we listen to them is when there comes a case, when there comes a break fix need, we just want to be able to make sure that that ticket is going to be taken care of and that we don't have to worry about how many hours it may take, right? And so that's really how we came to this conclusion of we're going to be able to offer the fact of whether, your ticket, your reactive case takes, whether it takes 5 hours, whether it takes 20 hours, we're not going to be deducting you per hour for that type of case. We're just going to be able to have it be deducted only when it goes to Microsoft, right? And in that case, it really is because Microsoft is making those changes of having set cases like Will was mentioning earlier, and a price associated with it, right? We want to make sure that we have the SMEs in-house to be able to get you to the resolution that you need to, especially for those break fix, break glass type of situations. And then when it comes to the proactive side of things, our goal is to really make sure that you guys are optimizing, just like Andrew said. And really, when it comes to that, it is going to be one of those pieces where these are going to play well hand in hand together, because the more we're able to help optimize, ensure best practices, the more likely that we're going to have a really robust system that when something does break, guess what? It probably really is break glass, where it might be product outage for Microsoft. Maybe, I don't know if anybody here remembers the CrowdStrike some time ago, but things like that, right? Where you're going to have to make sure that you have all your things and you're set in a row, right? Because then you can understand really what's going on is most likely not something within your environment that you guys may have caused or whatever may have caused, but something that you can really get to with Microsoft and then leverage us as the partner to make sure that we're using all the power that we have, whether it's the incident managers, whether it's our CSAM, whether it's our partner manager, because we're a Microsoft managed partner, right? This is we're less than 1% of all CSPs are a managed partner. So having all these different things help us make sure that you guys are covered. The organizations with TrustedTech are covered, right? And we're able to have that type of transparency and confidence for all of our audience, right? And so that hopefully that provides a little bit more insight. And then Will, if you want to kind of give an idea of the breakdown of these services.
Thank you very much, Jason. We're going to take a look here at the reactive support side of things, and this is mainly going to relate to the non-in-house resolution cases. So again, in 85, 86% of cases, this is not going to apply. But if you do need to go to Microsoft support, that's when we're going to be working with you, and we'll go into the step-by-step process in a couple of slides here of my team's ability to advocate for you, keep you involved, keep the engineering team of Microsoft involved, and make sure that case gets to a timely resolution. Again, those are going to be your Microsoft support cases. Sometimes there's things that need to be escalated due to an outage, due to an actual bug, due to something that's held kind of behind closed doors at Microsoft, various tools that are not exposed to any partner, not exposed to any end customer, that can only be done by someone at Microsoft internally. So those are going to be the cases that we're talking about here. And outside of those kind of niche cloud in support scope services that we talked about earlier, there's also going to be some other types of Microsoft support engagements that we can involve. If we can just go back to the last for a second to talk about the CVEs and the L1 escalations, these are going to be your high severity, high priority, extremely important situations that you need handled by a team, that you need handled not just by one person, but a couple of individuals to make sure that we can get that assignment, that resolution as quickly as possible. Now, these are going to be subject to an additional hourly rate, but you do have a resource on your side that you can choose to use from Microsoft called a Global Critical Situation Manager. Now, if you opt that you not like this resource, you don't have to use them. You don't have to be subject to the hourly rate. But if you do find that you want those constant every 10-minute, every 15-minute updates from someone internal at Microsoft, we can certainly show you how to engage that resource and make sure that communication is flowing to all of your stakeholders, whether that be a central Teams thread, whether that be kind of a war room meeting, whether that be communicating updates via emails to stakeholders. That resource can be used in a couple of different ways to push that case along. Now, when you do feel like you have the case back in an area where you can lower the severity, maybe it's gotten some resolution, maybe we found a root cause, you can lower that down to a severity B and continue to work with the same technical resource, but not have that involvement where you don't need it from that critical situation manager. And we can shepherd you through this whole process, keep you informed in what does incur extra from Microsoft, what doesn't, and make sure you use those resources most appropriately. And finally, to talk about something that would be a little bit outside the normal scope of Premier Support for Partners, but there is still an offering for them. And these are going to be your on-premise and hybrid cases. These are going to be cases for on-prem technologies that really don't relate to your cloud licensing. But luckily, no matter where you purchase these on-prem technologies from, there is going to be an option for Microsoft support on these on-prem cases. These are going to be escalated through a slightly different support channel, but subject to some of the same responsibilities that the Premier Support for Partners engineers are. And they are subject to an hourly rate, but the good news is that's only subject to how much you work with that resource. I've seen cases go on 6 months before and only get about 6 hours appropriated from Microsoft's side to those cases. So many engineers are willing to work with the fact that your needs might be flexible. They might be more weighty one week and a little bit less the next week if it's an engagement that goes on for a little bit of time. But luckily, there is an ability to file these on-prem cases if you have that in your current tech stack. Now, to keep it going, we'll have a little bit of a breakdown of our proactive services, and I'll hand it back over to Jason so he can go into each one of these verticals individually.
Thanks, Will. And really these two, again, like I was kind of mentioning earlier, they really do play well into each other, right? Because the whole aspect that we're trying to get here is that how can we work together, not as a vendor per se, but how do we work together as a partner, right? And the things that we're looking to do is whether it's a break fix thing, just like Will was mentioning, where again, break glass, it's a critical situation. It's things that you can't necessarily always anticipate, right? Because things are just going to break, right? How we can leverage certain different proactive services are going to be really in the lens of what you see on the screen, right, which are consulting sessions. There are professional services, which are white glove type of engagements. We have a program that's called the dedicated cloud engineer. These are individuals that really are going to be an extension of your team. They are given the ability to make sure that you want to use them however you would like, right? If you have things that are perhaps more Azure focused and you're really looking to expand your Azure environment, your Azure footprint, so on and so forth, and maybe move things off from more on-prem onto the cloud, right? A dedicated Azure engineer or DCE would really be able to help you kind of be that consultant and help you guys roadmap what that could even look like, right? And there's a myriad of use cases that we can have for that. And then also at the same time, like we also want to make sure that we have a benchmark that we could help you guys get to, right? That's what an assessment can be used for as well, which are, our engineers going in and taking a look to make sure that, number one, are things set up depending on what you guys may have and depending on what you guys may have had requests for. And number two, maybe more importantly, what are our recommendations of how you guys can improve what you guys may be looking for, whether it be security focused, whether it be a productivity aspect. And one of our most popular assessments that we've had in the past year, believe it or not, would be a Copilot readiness assessment. So many customers, so many organizations are hearing about Copilot, and leadership wants to go and make sure they can use Copilot. But there's so many things that we want to make sure are checked off, right, before we really just go on and just turn it on. Because do we know what the implications are? Do we know what is the worst case thing that can happen? Because I can tell you the best case thing that can happen is productivity goes up, and employees are able to get things just done better, faster, and also just really have an assistant for every single one. But have we considered the aspects of what is Copilot really looking at, right? Like what type of security, what type of things that are, maybe locked down, maybe not locked down, right? And well, lastly but not least, there are workshops that can be purchased through Microsoft, through the Microsoft Premier Support for Partners, or again, PSFP. And these are the things where it's going to be just like the title says, Microsoft led. And these are, again, the workshops, trainings, things that you want. Maybe you guys really want to make sure that Microsoft is also there. And we will also be part of there as a partner to make sure that we can take whatever Microsoft and yourself and us and make sure there's the best type of roadmap moving forward. And I really want to just, really encapsulate the wrap in terms of the proactive, in the sense of, there's going to be many times where you're going to have a break fix and that goes from the reactive, and many times you're going to have something that might not be break fix, but maybe you or your IT admin or whoever it is that is working on something just really wish they could just pick up the phone and just talk to an expert, right? And that's really where these consulting sessions are going to be laid down for the success of your organization. And we'll kind of move forward to the next slide here so that Will can kind of start to take over what it looks like in terms of a ticket intake to reconciliation.
Thank you, Jason. In this slide, we're going to take a look at the end-to-end process that Trusted Tech is going to follow for some of these reactive support tickets. Now, some of these steps are not included in every case, especially Microsoft escalation. Again, we talk about that 85% in-house resolution. So again, it's not going to apply to every ticket, but in case you are curious how this can go through, we'll take a look here. First, it's going to start with the ticket intake, which is actually first going to go to our triage team to make sure that ticket gets routed to the proper team at Trusted Tech, as you would expect. There's multiple support teams with different capabilities and competencies. So we're going to make sure that ticket is routed to the correct team, gets a first response from a live person, and has the specialization that you need. After that, the ticket is going to be assessed, and we're going to make sure that we can get it to the right department, whether it be a break fix, whether it be more of consulting engagement, whether it be something Microsoft dependent and not related to Microsoft at all, whatever it may be, we're going to assess that ticket and reach out to try to make sure that we can get the answers that we need from you so that we can proceed with that case. After this, we're going to, if needed, escalate to Microsoft if it's something that we can't resolve in-house, whether it be because the tool itself is on a type of technology that is not exposed to the public or any other reason. Maybe it's an outage, maybe it's a bug, whatever. After that, if the case needs it, if it needs a little TLC, if it needs a little bit of love, if it needs a little pushing forward, we're very adept and very skilled at advocating for that ticket on your side so that we can remain part of the process, make sure Microsoft remains part of the process as we get that ticket towards a reconciliation as quickly as possible. Finally, once the case has been returned, we're going to make sure that ticket resolution is given to you in a way that satisfies your requirements, your needs, and those updates are given until we hit that resolution, and follow it up with a case debrief to make sure you understand what was done, how it was done, any recommended solutions or next steps going forward, and any existing gaps that can be filled. And finally, we find ourselves all the way at that resolution that we are seeking. And this is the whole process that we might see. But I want to take it over back to Jason so that we can talk a little bit more about how this relates to the new Certified Support Solutions program.
Thanks, Will. Yeah, I mean, it really all takes the experience, the feedback, just the constant conversations that we have with our customers to really, again, try to address where there may be a gap. And so, to really wrap up this piece of the section, I hope you guys have been able to really understand the changes that are happening. For example, for us, Trusted Tech, we're really taking the investment to make sure that we're able to, on the reactive side of things, take care of our customers with the best type of resources that we can, and really only deduct cases when they go to Microsoft. Because again, when it goes to Microsoft, it typically is a reason of there was a Microsoft issue, there was a bug on their end, it was a product issue, there was some sort of connector that maybe stopped working, a myriad of reasons, right? And really, as you're going to see kind of as we move forward in the next slide in about a minute here, we're going to have a few support tiers that, really going to be able to have customers understand where they may be in their journey and where they may fit at that moment in time, right? And really make sure that those are the types of things that will help drive their, your success forward in terms of what you may be looking for your Microsoft investment, what you're looking for in a partner. And most importantly, right, really understanding that reactive support is a break glass type of scenario, right? In terms of the ecosystem, really we want to understand that proactive support in this terms of the consulting, the professional services, so on and so forth, really going to help create that benchmark, create that measurement of success for you and your organization, because really it does lead into everything else. The more that you optimize, the more you do best practices, because that is going to secure your company, your environment, so on and so forth. And so we'll go just a little bit closer into looking at these tiers that we're kind of mentioning here. And then Sam, we could take it away.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for that overview. I think really the key thing to understand is the difference between reactive and proactive support offerings. Where reactive, we meet you where you are in your time of need, be it a break fix situation or some sort of product error. We're there to help you in the moment. And then from a proactive perspective, it's more so similar to that Wayne Gretzky quote, right? I know it's hockey season, but we help you meet you where you want to be, where that puck will eventually be, and where you want that puck to be in terms of your digital transformation journey or your IT modernization initiative. So thank you guys for that. As Jason mentioned, I do want to make sure that we're able to take a closer look at some of the key support tiers and offerings. Jason, can you step in and take it away?
Yeah, of course. So, really, this is a accumulation of many different types of interviews, many different type of engagements, many conversations with our customers, right? And this is kind of where we landed with, right? Which is making sure that we have these different tiers that really are going to be able to have the different types of needs for different types of organizations, again, in their journey. And so what you're going to see on the board here is, we have, for our more perhaps SMB shops that maybe don't need as much IT support, but really do want to look into the proactive and just make sure they do have the reactive aspect of having that break class be really stemmed into essential and the standard package. And then as we kind of move our way up, we have what we start to build into a commercial enterprise, right? And these are really for our mid-market or our large enterprise customers that really do, typically have a little bit more complex environments and make sure that they have a partner that they can use to move forward. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to go one way or another, right? Absolutely not. There can be use cases where, somebody really wants to be able to fully focus on the next 12 months and really build, right? And perhaps they may want to go on enterprise, but they may be really more of a smaller IT shop, and maybe vice versa. Maybe there is an enterprise that maybe just really wants to ensure that they have the reactive side of things. There's so many conversations that need to be had because every single customer in their journey has different types of places and different types of outcomes. And really, one thing that I want to really, highlight here is the fact again that when it comes to cases, our whole goal, regardless of whether you're in a premium support tier, whether you're just transacting licenses with us, at the end of the day, our goal is to ensure that you do have a partner you can rely on for the reactive break fix, which is why, you're going to see a much better improvement in terms of, reactive break fix tickets even with Trusted Tech, more so than maybe what you may have found directly with Microsoft, because we do want to ensure that we cherry pick the best resources that we can and ensure that we have the best team that has the awareness, has the knowledge, has the experience to be able to do so, right? And then, Andrew, if there's anything else that you think that you want to add into this piece as well.
No. I mean, look, you hit the nail on the head. One key distinction I just want to make sure our clients understand who are tuning in here today. You're still going to be getting, complimentary support as a licensing client with Trusted Tech Team, right? Now, that's not to say that, maybe consulting sessions or proactive services, maybe having an insurance policy for reactive support tickets that need to get escalated to Microsoft wouldn't benefit you. But I just want to make sure they understand, hey, we're your partner. You buy licensing from us, we want to make sure you know that you can submit tickets to our internal CSP support team and they can resolve those tickets for you. Now, in the situation where it does need to get escalated to Microsoft and you do not have a support tier that you're currently a part of, that will incur a premium charge. Okay, so just wanted to make that clear. But no, I mean, other than that, we can pop into the next slide here because what I wanted to do, Jason, was really kind of show everyone who's watching here some of the main differences that I see in the clients who are, transacting some of these support tiers with us, right? Obviously, for customers who do have CSS already, there is a new essentials tier, but going back to what you said, I mean, it's really important for our customers to understand, back to what Sam was saying, we want to meet you where you are. Not everyone has a super large IT team that they can dedicate, 40 plus hours a week to managing security. That's just not the case, right? So what I want to do real quick here is just kind of pop through. I know we have about 10 minutes left and I want to do leave some time for questions as well. I'll give a quick breakdown of, in my experience, what I've seen as a dedicated account manager for about 200 of our clients here at Trusted Tech, what the best use cases are for some of these tier services breakdown, right? Obviously, the Essentials tier is a brand new tier. I project this to be something for maybe organizations with less than 100 users. You're on something like a business basic, a business standard, maybe even a business premium license if you have less than 100 users, right? And you're just like, look, I have the productivity suite. I just need basic reactive support ticket cases, maybe a couple cases as an insurance policy that I can elevate to Microsoft if that's the case, a couple consulting sessions that are included in that package, just in case I'm considering moving up to a new license tier, right? That's once again not to say that a larger organization wouldn't fit this tier, but that's most likely what most of the clients are going to be procuring there. And then we start getting into some of the larger standard commercial and enterprise support tiers. One big distinction I want to make here is, maybe from a standard perspective, you have something like a business premium. You know that you have security features available to you in the licensing that you're currently buying. You might just not quite know how to set it up to Microsoft's best practices, right? That's really where the proactive services come in something like a standard or a commercial tier, right? So obviously you have increased access to Microsoft support cases when you do need to escalate something, but you're also getting consulting session. You're also getting, the optimization of Microsoft usage from an expert from a licensing perspective. What I'm trying to say is you're really getting greater value from the investment that you're making in Microsoft. Let's face it, the cost of Microsoft licensing isn't going down anytime soon, right? We want to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck for what you're paying for, right? I mean, going into like the commercial and enterprise tier services, one big thing that I see a lot of people doing is, maybe they're ready to really up the ante and expand their Microsoft services that they're utilizing. They're going from something like an ME3 or business premium license and moving up to something like an ME5, for example, for the security benefits, right? Think e-discovery, complex compliance, maybe additional features within Defender. That's really where we're going to start seeing a commercial or enterprise package, work best for our clients. Hey, we've decided to really invest a lot of our IT budget into the Microsoft environment. We're going to be utilizing Microsoft Sentinel for SIM. We're going to be integrating all of the EDR and MDR capabilities that is native to Microsoft. You guys are going to need some dedicated cloud support engineers to go into your environment and set some stuff up for you, depending on your bandwidth. You're going to need a substantial amount of consulting sessions just to make sure we're doing this to Microsoft best practices, right? So that's really where I've seen in my experience a lot of these support tiers come into play and the customers to whom it applies to, right? Um, I think one question that's probably in the back of a lot of our attendees' heads here is, okay, this sounds amazing, but how does this compare to some of the other support services that we see in the industry, right? Whether it's, an MSP support package or maybe even unified support that's coming directly from Microsoft. And we can kind of get into that in the next slide here. So, for example, I mean, I know that with MSPs, other CSPs, and third parties, a lot of the time what they're doing is they're billing per hour for a lot of these services. That's really not the case here. You're paying a monthly fee to have a bucket of support hours, to have a bucket of consulting sessions. And they're also, typically charging per user as well, right? So not only are you getting a net per user cost, depending on the number of licenses you have in your tenant, you also have to pay per hour, or maybe with someone like a US cloud, you're paying for time and materials. You have to have a minimum spend of $30,000 a year. It can be pretty taxing on a budget. And then of course, unified support for some of our larger enterprise customers, it really is a percentage of your overall Microsoft 365 licensing spend and can get very expensive very quickly, depending on how large your enterprise is, right? The way Trusted Tech Team has kind of circumvented that, we're cutting your support costs by, in some cases, up to 50%. Right? You have a flat fee that you're paying per month. You have the peace of mind of knowing that, hey, if I do need to escalate something to Microsoft, I'm not going to be charged for it because I already have a bucket of support cases within my support tier that I can escalate, right? So definitely something to keep in mind there. Final points here regarding the transition plan itself for the certified support services, right? So obviously there are some of our customers who are already utilizing some of the CSS contracts, right? These are going to be honored until the next renewal. Okay, so just want to make that clear. Any existing contracts are going to migrate to the new plans and the subsequent usage at the renewal as well. One important thing to know is you don't have to worry about any escalation procedures, changing. Everything is going to remain exactly intact. You can continue to, contact Will and his team at CSP. Feel free to, consult your dedicated account manager if you're having issues or would like to set up a consulting session. There's nothing changing in the way that you interact with our support team, right? So not only are you getting, more access to stronger proactive support and the consulting sessions as well, you're going to be getting better recommendations and really opening up who we're able to get our support for. So from a high level, that's really the way that Trusted Tech Team is coming to market here and helping circumvent some of these challenges that we're seeing in the Microsoft space, of course, and how things are changing, right?
Awesome. Thank you so much for that overview, Andrew. And with that, as we come to a close and right before we jump into our Q&A session, I do want to make sure all the attendees of our webinar here today know about our offer, our promotional offer tied to our support offering, certified support services. All of our customers who either renew with us or new customers can enjoy 30 days support, a free complimentary 30-day support offer. So that's on us for you to best understand and best utilize our support to see the true value that exists therein. With that being said, let's shift over to the Q&A session. I do want to bring up a couple questions that were asked through the chat. First and foremost, the easy question, does your company deal with licenses and projects to move from hybrid to cloud only? Simple answer there is yes, but Andrew, do you want to expand on that for about 10 seconds?
Absolutely. Yeah, we sure do, Mark. So essentially, we've helped a whole host of our, clients move from a hybrid or, half on-premise, half cloud environment into fully cloud, whether that's, moving on-premise servers into, Azure in virtual machines there, whether it's setting up maybe, domain controllers on premise that are syncing with Entra identities. We can absolutely do that. And, if you're interested, you can contact your dedicated account manager for how we can assist you with that, both from a licensing perspective, like on the cloud side, so anything M365, and then how our professional services team can also, help speed up that process and give you a white glove service to help you, right? It really just depends on what your needs are.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Andrew, I think this is teed up for you as well. As far as GCC, government related licenses, do we offer those? And if so, how do we get involved?
Absolutely. Yeah, so great question here. So just to provide clarity, GCC standard licensing is something that is offered internally here at Trusted Tech. We are able to procure that. GCC High is a whole other beast, right? There's additional compliance requirements from GCC High perspective and licensing as well. So unfortunately, that's not something that we can support or offer from a procurement perspective. When it comes to the support that we can provide to our GCC clients who are on the standard licensing, I know the question mentions, higher levels of compliance, think CMMC. I know there's like ITAR requirements that are needed. It really just depends on, for example, I'm thinking of a client here in the back of my head who does, direct contracts with the Department of Defense. We can provide consulting on how you can optimize the environment for compliance and security. Absolutely. But that's, remember, only specifically for our GCC standard clients. Okay. So just want
Awesome.
to point that out there. Yep.
No, great. Thank you so much for that. Stuart had a great call out. So Stuart mentioned, I have a security concern about providing GDAP access to our tenant, to any other, or to any third party. Several high profile businesses in the UK were hit with cyber ransom attacks that originated via third party support. How can CSPs such as TTT provide security assurances? Jason, Andrew, Will, anyone of you guys?
I'll take this one. First of all, you are not alone. This is a very common line of questioning that we hear, and we very much have options for those who have those security concerns, and they're very valid. So first of all, I'll say with GDAP, you do not have to grant us GDAP in really any regard. You can show us what you need through your own access, whether that be through a screen share or some kind of remote session, or even just describing an issue in theory, and we can work with the level of access that you're going to give us. Obviously, we're going to be a little bit more effective if we have at least ability to see things, but you can show us through your own access in whatever way follows your security protocols. Now, that being said, if we do need GDAP for some operation, for some investigation, for some ticket resolution, you can set that to expire as quickly as you want to. I've seen GDAPs expire in 1 day. I've seen them expire in 3 days. And again, you can revoke them at any time if that's something that you need to do for your own compliance reasons or if the engagement is finished. Now, that being said, there's one GDAP permission. It's called Service Support Administrator. And the only thing it authorizes us to do is open a ticket with Premier Support for Partners for your tenant. And if that is the only thing you want to grant us, that is the only thing it allows us to do. So no tenant access other than just the ability to file that ticket to get that Premier Support process going. So we can work with you. We work with customers with similar concerns all of the time, and we're always able to find them a solution that gets them the support they need.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Will. We do have another question here from Nick Lesson. I love the name, by the way, especially your last name, Magnus. I'll answer this because it's just quick yes or no question. Are these new partner support services offered globally? Absolutely. They'll be offered across the pond through the UK and the EU as well. Nicholason, you also asked another question about premium charge per escalation. We'll make sure to follow up with you and exactly what that looks like and what that entails. The last question I did want to ask here openly on the call as we wrap up is, how does TTT, or now TrustedTech, handle third-party hardware like troubleshooting, say, a Teams room running on a Yealink environment? For those of you unaware, Yealink is a UCC vendor that sells things like headsets and speakerphones, just for clarification for those folks on the call.
So generally speaking, with hardware that integrates with Teams rooms or whatever it might be, we're going to work with you to rule out whatever we can from Microsoft's perspective. Obviously, starting with, is it a supported version? Is it something that is up to date? Is it something that has all the recent updates, drivers, everything like that? Are we using it properly? Have we configured it properly? And is there any unexpected behavior? Now, some things as it relates to the hardware itself have to be answered by the OEM. But if there is a case in which we can rule out the Microsoft side of the functionality, there is even an option to work together with both the OEM and with Microsoft to troubleshoot what is going on. But we're happy to point you in the right direction if that is needed and set that type of engagement up for you. So we're going to rule out what we can rule out from our perspective from the Microsoft side of things. As it relates to the OEM side, they can also facilitate and work together with us and with Microsoft on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. For those of you interested in the complimentary 30 days, please feel free to click the link on the left. We'll be sure to reach out to you. If you found value in education and enablement through the key learnings that we've been able to share with you through our webinars, our monthly webinars, please feel free to click register to click for the next webinar, where we'll be covering Defender and protecting every layer of your IT ecosystem and environment. Thank you so much, and make it a great day.